These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays we spend with our families, as we should do. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Global Gold for those that are based in America and Canada. And for those in the UK and Europe, we have Orvesta. Get yours now at charlies.gold. Well, hi guys, this is a very special privilege. I've got Santos Bonacci here, who's a gentleman and a brother who has done so much research, thorough research. The wonderful cross of Australian, Italian. You've got the combination of both character there. And for me, it's a real privilege to have this opportunity to talk to Santo, because he's been there for a long time. The first time I came into contact was the fact that when I was asked the question on my show 5 years ago, was the Earth round or flat? I came up with the term, it was flound. And when I started doing some research, Santo was the place that I went to for my research to find out the truth. And both Santos and I both are not fussed what the truth is. We just want to find it. In fact, very often we hope that we find that we've been told the truth, or sometimes we just want it to be not true what we've heard. But it's wonderful to see you, wonderful to have you on here. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks, Charlie. I guess I know there's a lot of people suffering with attacks and illnesses and whatnot. I seem to avoid most of them, but 2 weeks ago, after 9 years of not having a flu, I got a flu. You can probably still hear a little bit of a nasally sound in my voice. This is not my voice. But this is the very, very end of it. But I had at least 2 or 3 weeks of knocked out, and I've never been knocked out like that for 9 years.
We forgot how bad man flu was during COVID, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
The reason I contacted you at the moment, I was away in Barbados with my wife celebrating 10 years of marriage, and we had the wonderful thing is we didn't have our phones at the breakfast table for 10 days, and we just communicated with 10 of us around the table at the breakfast table, and I was challenging their thought process. And the first thing that you can do when you challenge somebody's thought process is tell them that the world isn't a spinning ball traveling at 1,000 miles an hour, spinning in the air. And that opens a can of worms. And it was very interesting because the person that I had the conversation with, this was quite a new experience for them. And they had everything in their head was what they were told at school, at college and at university. They hadn't gone outside of that to research it. They'd taken it as factual and never questioned it. Whereas you and I were the naughty little boys who questioned that.
Yeah, well, look, here's the thing. I knew about the flat Earth since I was a little boy. And I didn't laugh at it. I didn't criticize it. I just observed that all the ancients considered that the Earth was a stationary plane and it doesn't move. And what moves is the ether clockwise over our heads every 24 hours, and it carries all the planets with it. So it's like a river, right? Mm-hmm. Now, those planets, they are actually progressing in the opposite direction. Their trajectory is counterclockwise. So they're going upstream. So what's happening is, here we are on the Earth, it's stationary, obviously. Right? Now, so we're stationary, and the sky, exactly. And over that is what's called the firmament and the zodiac and all the electromagnetic theatre creators called the sun and the moon that create every detail of your life, everyone's life, the mundane world's geopolitics, everything is already been orchestrated by the orchestrators, the demiurge, not the source God, the demiurge, which everyone worships because they love the dichotomy of good and evil, and the playground of what you can get up to and how naughty you can be. So they worship this God, who is called the Creator. The Creator is not God the Source, which is you and I at the highest level. Now, we can't conceive that we are God, but to say that you are God and not qualify it is really a half-truth. Yes, you are God, but you are God with difference. So you will always be the source creator forever and ever and ever with difference. So your difference is Charlie Ward, my difference is Santos Bonacci, and we get to keep our individuality forever, even though we are one with Source, not the demiurge, not Jesus, Jehovah, Yeshua, Buddha, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, Horus, Osiris, Ra. All of those are the sub-creators of this electromagnetic wave world, which is temporary. The world beyond that, our source world where we come from, is not temporal, it is eternal and infinite.
Yeah. It's very clear in the Bible that we were made in the image of God. And I love the analogy of God being like a hand, and you and I being like gloves. A glove without the hand in has no purpose. It has nothing. So we're made in the same image, so it looks the same, but without God in. And I was saying the other day, when we bow our head to pray, you're praying inside to God. I used to think God, he lives up in the heavens up there. Well, that's actually inside us. And it was a misunderstanding on my part, or misteaching on my part, to think it was just some bloke sat up there with long blonde hair or long grey hair in a big chair, and he was in the heavens. And that was very, very... And then you learn what God is. And I thought it was a beautiful analogy that we're made in the image of God. And a glove and a hand makes the perfect explanation. But yeah, you might be a very, very nice glove. You may look very, very nice, but without a hand inside, you have no purpose. You have no direction. You have no shape. You have no power, no strength. And God is the hand.
Yeah, brother. Man is the measure of the universe. So they say, if man is the measure of the universe, if you want to know the universe, you need to understand all the functions in the body, the biochemistry, the way we change our chemistry to be able to increase our consciousness, our magic, our manifestation. People are manifesting what they don't want. They're homeless. They're struggling with money. Now, the power they have is within them to change that.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why do Christians do this when they pray, right? Well, this is a closed circuit. All your fingers are touching, and they laugh at the Hindus that do this or this and this, and yet, brothers, will you please pray? We're going to pray to God, and what do? The most important mudra there is. Making a closed circuit like this, and when you said that when you're praying, you're actually praying into yourself, you're not speaking to out there, well, that proves it. You know, that proves it. And the scripture says the kingdom of God is within you. Well, if the kingdom of God is within you, that should be enough to satisfy you. You don't really need Ferraris and mansions and helicopters and and anything, because you got the kingdom of God in you forever. So whatever is outside of you, just let it be. It's just fleeting.
I remember the first time I realised that God was in me. I had the shock of my life because I realised I'd taken him to some dodgy places that I thought was hidden away that he'd never see because he was up there. Then the realisation sunk in that he was inside, and I'd just taken him to some places that I probably shouldn't have gone to. And that was a bit of a bit of my awakening to wake up to the fact. But the wonderful thing with God is God is waiting to forgive you and I for the mistakes that we've made. And I often refer to this as God is stood outside the door waiting for us to open it. Well, he's not going to open it for you. He's waiting for you to take action. I urge my audience to do the same, that God is there waiting to save you. There's so many times that we're just stubborn. We want everything done. We now live in a generation that wants everything done for them. Well, this is time that you have to do something for yourself.
Yeah, in Italian we have a saying, Dio aiuta chi si aiuta. So God helps those who help themselves. Mm-hmm. If you're sitting around waiting for Jesus to come and save you, you're not salvageable. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're not even salvageable. You've got to have something salvageable for when Christ consciousness returns, for you to be equal to that frequency. And that's what it means when, when Jesus saves you, when you are saved. When you are saved, it means that you've done the work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one else is going to be doing it for you. You have to do the work. If you've got a sickness, you look after it. If you're underweight or overweight, you can fix that. It's up to you. No one else is going to go, wow, there you go. Now you're fat. Now you're skinny. Now you're healthy. It's up to you.
And God's got an amazing sense of humour. Because if you ask God for a cake, he won't give you a cake, but he will give you flour, he will give you milk, he will give you eggs, and he'll show you how to make it. But you've got to do it yourself.
Yeah. The education system, unfortunately, Charlie, has made us experts in one field or another field, ignorant of all the other fields. And so they don't know what to do with that flour and eggs. So they go to the shops, they go to the shops, and then when the shops are empty, they want to, they go into full panic mode, So that's why they say if you really want to know the truth, you have to unlearn what you've been taught. You just have to unlearn it. We all know now, everyone from little children to even old people who remember the 60s and 70s. I was born in 63. I was hip with the 60s. I was a hippie in the 70s. Those were golden years for me. Yeah. Then the 80s came and everything, and the 90s was worse. And now, of course, but so, even those people of my age, baby boomers, right, they are seeing that everything they were taught is a lie. And the veil is so thin now that these politicians, they're getting egg thrown at them, rotten tomatoes, they're getting harassed. They need more security guards, they need more protection, more wars, more authority. It'll come to a time when the police and the armies that they use, the stooges that are being used, they're just going to turn around and say, look, we're not going to fight your fights anymore. You're all hypocrites. You're all involved with the people trafficking. That's why these politicians, they go into politics, all of a sudden their portfolio is 10, 20 times more. They went in, they had a $100,000 house. Now they have 6 mansions all around the earth, right? They've been in politics for 6 months. Now, the reason is obvious, right? Because they are not people like you and I. I don't know what they are. That reptiles, greys, freaking Anunnaki, androids. I don't know and I don't care. They're not human. I know what a human is.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell. You can see it in their eyes. You can see the humanity in their eyes. You can see that these politicians are totally different. Mm-hmm. They have a callous, cold, calculating face, and everything is said with education and etiquette and political correctness. This is not authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not authenticity. So these people, they're not human, and the reason why they're so interested in money and having money is, there's many reasons, but I like to say it's because they're stone motherless ugly and they can't get laid without it. You know, who's going to... Is a beautiful babe going to come up to one of these politician-looking guys and say, hey, you want to come home with me tonight? It's like, no, they vomit. So that's why they need the money, and it appears to me that they're using it for that, for sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only way they get sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a crazy world, isn't it? Well, you said earlier about we have to unlearn stuff, and you and I have learned the hard way. The hardest thing with unlearning is pride. And if you can get rid of pride, unlearning stuff becomes so much easier, because pride gets in the way because we thought we knew, and then we found out we didn't. And if you can deal with pride, get that out of the way, you'll find unlearning this stuff so much easier.
Humility, always.
Yeah.
Humility. Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk to you about, because we talked about it before, is if we look back in histories to the Bible as to when that was constructed together. One of the things I loved with that I learned early on in this, it says very often in the Bible about fearing the fear of God, and when I actually found out the meaning of the word fear from the Aramaic translation, it's to know and understand, not to be scared of. And that to me was a big turning point, because I thought I should be scared of God as I grew up, and I found that not to be the case. And to know and understand made it a lot more easy, because when you know God and understand God rather than be scared of God, the journey is so much easier. And we talked about the Bible and the construct, and then 600 years later, there was a book called the Quran. There was the Torah and the Talmud, which is sort of the written word and the verbalization. Both were constructed by the Jews 600 years after the Bible, which I found very interesting. And then you dig deeper and you find it was done to divide the two different faiths. Because in the beginning, all right, there were more faiths. There were the Jews and the Gentiles, but of course there was the Indian faith as well, en masse, the Hindus, etc. But the Jews wanted to divide these group of people into Muslim and Christian because they were too powerful, they were too big. So they created the Quran. They wrote the Quran. They wrote the Talmud and the Torah. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So there's a great Australian author called Tony Bushby.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he's written about 7 or 8 books. I have them all back home in Australia. And in one of those books, he explained how a Catholic cardinal called Lothar Schmalfus created Islam. Mm-hmm. So he was a cardinal. He was supposed to be elected Pope. This is around the time, they say, 600 CE, which you really can't trust these historical timelines anyway, but let's just go with conventional history. So 1400 years ago, Muhammad pops up. Well, it wasn't Muhammad, it was Lothar Schmalfus, a German cardinal who failed to become Pope Now, when you go and search all this, Lothar Schmalfus, creator of Islam, you'll see hundreds of articles. You will see source books going back eons telling you clearly, it should be a universal fact that this Cardinal, Lothar Schmalfus, created Islam. The Catholic Church wanted a bulwark. They wanted an army to protect themselves from the East and have more control of the East, especially Persia. Persia was always Rome's enemy, and Greece. And they still are. It's just called Iran. But anyway, so what they did was they said, well, let's create something to offset the Jewish power, because we're the West, we're Christian. They're not. They're not Christian. Neither are the Jews Jews. Neither are the Muslims. If they were, we wouldn't have any wars, any genocides, any politics at all. We'd be free. We would have our trusts, the Sestawike Trust returned to us that was stolen off us. You know about Jassara and Nassara. I've heard you talking about that, right? Yeah, okay. So these are trusts which are beyond their control, but they've usurped them, taken them over, created a twin of us by stealing our placenta at the hospital. And so at the hospital, which is military, that's why you have a Surgeon General who runs a hospital. It's a general. It's military. So what they do is the mother delivers her child at the port. The port authority gives a certificate, and then they say, "Would you like to cut the cord?" And that's when the whole straw man thing begins, because now they have the placenta, they have a dead twin. And so everything you do in commerce is based on that dead twin. In the meantime, your stocks, your trust, your security is making millions on the stock exchange, and you can check that at fidelity.com when you put your birth certificate numbers in there without the spaces, just the numbers, and you can see all your stocks. I did this 10 years ago and I'm like a trillionaire.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be returned and restored to humanity. The good thing is these people haven't got much longer to go. Their God, their demiurge is dying. Ours is returning. Ours is Christ consciousness. It's returning. We never lose. We never lose. So for the listeners, for anyone, don't have any fear about governments and all these scary people who are trying to make you afraid. You don't. Your nature is not fear. Your nature is love. Our nature is love.
It is, and of course, fear is probably one of the biggest killers in life. I've often said in my own life that I don't worry about a thing. I don't worry about things I can change. I change them. And I don't worry about things I can't change, because if I can't change them, why worry? And if you go through life like that, with a positive mindset, then you live an awful lot longer. But I've seen so many people who live in fear. They live worried about everything. And by the time they get to 50 or 60, they're dead. In fact, when they stop working, they literally put their slippers on, and within a few years, they're dead.
Yeah.
Because they worry about everything, and that will kill you.
Yeah. That's right. That's why Scripture says, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for what you will eat or what you will wear. The sparrows don't, and they are always clothed, and they are always fed. You will not add a cubit to your lifespan by worrying. And the thing you worried about, guess what? It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Something else happened, and it was good. So you worried and got sick, and then something good came. It's just not worth it. And the worrying as well only really puts you in a frame of mind where you're not creating better outcomes.
And surround yourself with good people. I mean, if you surround yourself with negative people, you will become negative. If you surround yourself with positive people, you will become positive. You surround yourself with successful people, you will become successful because of habits. If you surround yourself with drunks and drug addicts like I used to, then you get addicted to cocaine and vodka and rum and gin and everything else, because I was surrounded by people doing the same thing. And the first thing you have to do, I'm not a massive fan of Alcoholics Anonymous and Drugs Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, all the rest of it. You've actually got the strength within you. You don't need anyone else. But the first thing you have to do is change your circle of friends and surround yourself with people who don't drink, who don't do drugs. Then it becomes easy. And you've now got friends that you're not looking to go and do a line with and looking to have a drink with. You've got people there that you can just sit and communicate with. And it's not easy to change a circle of friends. And there'll be times in your life when you think, well, I've only got a couple of friends. Well, that's more than enough, I can tell you. You don't need more than a couple of good friends in your life. If you've got 5, you've had a right result. But when you're young, growing up, you think you need to be... I did. I used to think I needed an army of friends. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not enough if you haven't got a wife and children. You're not enough if you haven't got a good job. You're not enough if you haven't got lots of friends. You're always not enough, and yet you are always complete and always enough. Yeah, so it's just programming from this world, because they really destroyed the world, the old world. They started in force really in the 1700s. Notice how Australia was discovered in 1789. 2 years earlier there was the French Revolution. A year earlier, 1776, the Americans expelled the Jesuits and created a republic with a constitution, Bill of Rights, Articles of Confederation and everything. And they had, so 1776, America, 1787, the French Revolution, 1789, Captain Cook discovers Australia, which is bullshit, because the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Chinese, the French were all here way before them. There's still maps of their existence and names. I've got a map with Australia that's got all Portuguese cities all over it, and there's no deserts. And there's one right near Adelaide, I think it is Adelaide, was called, guess what? Lisbon. Adelaide is the Portuguese Lisbon. It's on a map. I can show you. In fact, for the listeners, just go to my channel and look up a video called "What is Australia?" There you go. Just put those words in. What is Australia? And you'll see, I'll show you tens and tens of maps of all different Australias, owned by the Dutch, owned by the Swedes, owned by the Chinese.
Well, where I live in southern Spain, we live right next door to a castle which was built for the remembrance of his name, Columbus, who went across, Christopher Columbus. Well, from you being Italian would know that Columbus wasn't Spanish. Columbus was Italian, but they built this castle here because they paid for him to cross the Atlantic. So they sort of took possession of him. And they actually have a day off work each year, Christopher Columbus Day, which the Italians don't.
So Columbus is an English rendition of his, was Cristoforo Wait a minute. Colombo. I think it's Colombo.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Now in Spanish, it's Colón.
Colon.
Right. Now, so that should be Collins.
Yes,
Collins.
that's right.
Yeah.
Family.
So
That's right.
we talk about the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers being almighty and all powerful.
Yeah.
Well, the Columbus family, which is a corporation, the Collins family,
Yeah.
they're like way above the Rothschilds and
Correct.
the Rockefellers, right?
Way
So,
above.
in effect, and I learned this by an ex-Collins guy who was John Todd. Do you remember John Todd?
Yes.
Excellent. And then he disappeared. He came out with it. He said, I come from the Collins family. You think that the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds run the world? He says, no, the most powerful person in America will always be a woman from the Collins family.
Yeah.
So their corporations are Columbia Pictures, the Knights of Columbia, British Columbia, the Country Columbia, the District of Columbia. The district? I thought it was the United States. Why do they throw in a district? Hang on. So why don't they say the United States of America with some districts in there as well? No. Like Northern Territory, it's not a state, it's a territory, and Canberra is what? The District of Columbia. It's not a state. And we have Canberra, which is in a territory. It's not a state. So you see the games they're playing on it. They're playing offshore. They're bringing districts and territories in. Remember the day when they had allies? You know, Germany was allied with Italy, allied with Japan. It was all allies, and allies. Now, what is it? Partners. We're going to go into Libya with our partners, and we're going to kill Gaddafi with our partners, not allies. Why? Because it's now corporate. Not politicians, and people are starting to see through that, and thank God, because that's where the dismantling will begin, and it will begin this year. This year they will be dismantled.
I'll let you into a little bit of inside information because it'll become public this year. It happened in 2021 during the lockdown. That's why the lockdown started in Italy, because the Phoenician families, 13 Phoenician families, are based in Venice, and that was the first lot to be arrested. I have to be careful what I say because I got into trouble before, but that's when the Vatican was also emptied. There were 650 plane loads that was taken out of there, and a number of ships. And I was even talking the other day because people had no idea there was more than one pope. And of course, you've got the white pope, the black pope, the grey pope, the red pope, etc. And they were completely oblivious to that. But all of that was dealt with in 2021. And now in 2026, it'll be played out for the public to see. In what fashion, I don't know, because I know the end story. I just didn't know the journey. And I'm enjoying the journey because it's not what I expected. It's like watching a game where you know the result, but you just don't know how the game will play out. At the moment, I'm enjoying watching it play out, but it's not playing out anything like I thought it would. Whoever thought the script or whoever wrote the script had an incredible sense of humour. But you're absolutely right with the Phoenician families. The Collins family are right up there in the top names. The Astor family, the Bundy family, the DuPonts, the Freemans, the Kennedys, the Onassis, Rockefellers and Rothschilds are down towards the bottom, but they are very, very powerful people. The reason people know the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds is because they controlled the money, the banking system. But that's all changing, and you're absolutely right. There's going to be a huge transfer of wealth in the very near future. The hardest thing to do would be to teach people how to live with money. Most people know that 75% of people who win the lottery are bankrupt within 5 years because they just go spend, and then suddenly it's all gone.
Well, here's the thing, Charlie. They're not going to actually get the money in sacks of cash. They're going to have drawing rights to their trust.
Yeah.
So if they need a car, I need a car, here's my number, right? Mm-hmm. So they will look after that car because they won't have money in the bank where they can just give it to people. Because their friends will have access to the trust. Everyone will have access to the trust, and all you need is a number, just your number, and you just, with a fair government, you just say, listen, I need 4,000 or 100,000. I'm building a house, and the money is there for you. So there won't be a problem of like winning the lottery and then blowing it all. There's nothing to blow because there's actually it's not really currency. It's wealth that we have unlimited drawing rights to. And that's how it was supposed to be. That's how it was before the Vatican usurped this system. And you spoke about the Venetian family. Now, in Europe, they're not called the Illuminati, although that's where they started, the Alumbrados, and they infiltrated the Catholic Church, right? So, but there are 22 of those family in Venice. There's not 13. The 13 are the ones that are in America, which are called the Illuminati family. But I've seen lists where there's generally 22 black nobility family, which is totally different to the Illuminati families. They work together. They all belong to the Committee of 300, and there's exactly always 8,000 of them who call the shots out of the Committee of 300. And so they are composed of black nobility families, Pallavicini, Orsini, Este, Conte, Aldobrandini, Medici, Colonna, the Collins family, of course. I mentioned Orsini, I believe, Maxima. Then you go over and you've got your the Russells and the Rockefellers, the Astors, the Bundys, and that list, right? But that list, they came from America and they just changed their names. They're just corporations. They're not real surnames. Because surnames are corporations anyway. Bonacci is not my name. I only have one name, and that is Santo. And you as well. So when you join to the two names, your Christian name, funny about that, your Christian name, that's what it's called, right? Or your given name is totally different to your family name or your surname name. And when you join them together, that's when the Vatican owns you, because you have joined a copyrighted name which is not yours. The family name will never be yours unless you learn how to claim that trust and then take it off them. Yes, then it will. But it's joinder between the placenta, the dead twin that they own, and the certificate that they own, which they're floating on the bond market as a security. So when you claim that, if you want to, then and make your own trust and then take it off them, that's fine. But in the meantime, this is why Jesus said, "In my name only will you be saved." Because in there is encoded secrets to sovereignty, because if you use your Christian name only when identifying yourself, they can't even look at you, let alone converse or ask a question. As long as you're asking the questions and you give them your lawful and legal full name, that's what you have to do. You have to do this. You've got to do it to policemen, you've got to do it to anyone who has evidence of you disturbing the peace or anything like that. If it comes to that, you have to give them your legal, lawful, full name, and that is, in my case, Santos. That's
Santos.
it. I don't have to say Bonacci.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant. Well, it's lovely to talk to you. We'll have to do it again. I'd love to invite you sometime on our Insiders Club, because our Insiders we do on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We just finished with the one today. But I know that my audience think the world of you. And it would be lovely to share your expertise and your knowledge with them, because this is what this whole journey is about. As we awaken people, it's giving them the opportunity to hear different perspectives and to find out those people who they resonate with. Because some people will resonate with me, some with you, some with other people. We all resonate with different people, and it's good to share our knowledge together, and I thoroughly enjoy talking to you. I was born in 1960, so I'm a little bit older than you, but it was a great time to be born, because we grew up in an amazing time.
Yeah, those 2 decades were just so sweet, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, Santo, thank you so much. A real pleasure to speak to you, and we'll speak again soon.
Lovely, Charlie. Take care, and all your listeners, be good. All the best.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays we spend with our families, as we should do. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Noble Gold for those that are based in America and Canada. And for those in the UK and Europe, we have Orvesta. Get yours now at charlies.gold.